So I have a challenge for you. Sometimes experiencing something is worth 10 times just me talking about it. Now, I'm going to still talk about it. You can bet on that. However, humor me. So I'm going to count off 1, 2, 3. And on 3, I want everybody to hold your breath as long as you can. Okay? So 1, 2, 3. Put your hand up when you can't anymore. Okay, I give up. Wow. We got some. Okay. 1, 2, there's another one. Okay, another one. So some of you, thank you all, you may all breathe now. Some of you have just demonstrated that you are really, really, really good at resisting receiving. Because it is absolutely necessary for us as human beings, in order to be alive, to receive. You can go, about 3, some of you 2-3 minutes, some of you divers, maybe more than that, without receiving a new breath or a new set of air. But your body won't let you do that. You can't hold your breath till you die. I know I've tried in the past. I just felt so bad about myself. Well, you can't. Because it is the nature of you and me and life that we receive. Because, think about it. You receive your breath. You can't live very long without receiving water. And this is just on the physical level. You can't live very long without receiving light. If you were put in complete darkness, you could not live long. You'd go blind first, and then your body would cease to function the way it's designed to function, even if you had food and water. There is so much about who and what we are that is about receiving, and we take it for granted, or we forget about it, or we don't think about it. You can't grow without receiving a good idea or a better idea of life, of who you are and what life's about. You're stuck. So receiving is naturally built in. It is the very nature of who we are, that we must receive. Our lives depend upon it, at least on this plane, and I suspect on all planes. We breathe in ideas. We breathe out experiences. We breathe in greater goodness in many ways, and we breathe it out into our lives as we express it to other people. So physically, relationally, you got to receive in order to be in a relationship. How many have ever tried to be in a relationship where you did all the giving? Or you felt like, what's her name said you had to be the one giving all the giving, or what's his name? They call that codependency, among other names. Doesn't work. Doesn't work. Because receiving is just built into us. Then why in the world do we resist it so much? Have you resisted that where somebody says, let me buy you dinner tonight, just for fun? Oh, no, let me pay for it. Anybody do that? Don't raise your hands. Please. Or someone compliments you on what you're wearing. This old thing. I got it at a used store. I say, this is a used store. Hey, that's pretty cool. I had to pay a lot of money for it. We just tend to push it away. Or someone who seems to be really loving toward us. In a big way. And we think, wow, this is a real heart thing going on here. And we get scared. Not you, but I've done that. Scared, and we push it away, and we step back, and we keep like, no. This can't be, if it's too good to be true, it's, that old saying, probably is. So we've learned to be very cautious about what we receive sometimes, because we've got this crazy idea, thank you, that somehow that receiving like that has a price to pay. And for all this good that we get in life, there's a price to pay. There's blood to be extracted, a pound of flesh, all of that nonsense that you hear. It's always there, and it's always about it. So what I'm suggesting, though, is that we need to look a little bit at why we resist receiving our good, because we all do it to some extent. You know, there's a book about the glass ceiling where you grow and create and work and reach a certain point in your life and your career, and you can't seem to go above it. You bounce your head on it because it's like you've received all the good you can stand. I had an experience of that this week. Someone asked me, so how much money would you need to have coming in on a regular basis to feel opulent? And I told them in a ridiculously low amount. I can't believe it. Later when I walked away, I went, what? You said, how much? What were you thinking? That's just what you need to be at subsistence level right now so that your income matches your outflow. Not opulent, not above. But it didn't occur to me that it was okay to say what I really wanted. Anybody ever experienced that? Or that it's okay to really take that in? Because we get caught up in this shoulds and oughts and what should happen, and we're really afraid. And oftentimes, I think, with receiving, what frightens us is vulnerability. We are afraid of what might happen. We become vulnerable to a perceived powers outside of ourselves. If it's too good to be true, it must be because whoever is holding the reins on this can hurt me with it. It's too good to be true to be vulnerable in a relationship because they might hurt me. Right? Anybody else experience that? Some heads? Look like you're awake? Yeah, okay. Been there, done that. We forget who we are. And when we forget who we are, which divine expressions of God, a spirit, requiring to be able to receive and give, to have that flow going, then we resist it. You know, we resist our good. We also often think we don't deserve it. How many of you really think you deserve to win the lottery? Oh, good. Okay, we got a few takers on that. So do you buy tickets? You know that old thing about praying to God to win the lottery and please God, let me win the lottery, let me win the lottery. And finally this voice from heaven says, buy a ticket. You've got to buy a ticket. You've got to get involved. You've got to be willing to receive. And once you buy the ticket, do you have your tax lawyer lined up? Do you have your other lawyers and people lined up to handle that money when it comes to you because you really believe you deserve it, will have it? Most of us don't. I don't even know a lawyer at that level. Well, no, that's not true. I know one. The idea is we've got to get comfortable with this receiving and decide that we deserve it. And you know why you deserve it? Not because of what you did. Not because you're sinless, to use the old language. Sin just means missing the mark. Not because you've always been perfect. Some of us are trying to be perfect. Good luck. Because we already are at spirit level. But in life level and everyday walking around level, we got a ways to go. Except that maybe what we're doing is always growing toward that greater good that we are, and all that apparent imperfection is just part of the learning process. To be able to fully experience who I am in the world, who I am in life. Maybe. The other thing that stops us, I think, sometimes is that we get we start enjoying our stories of limitation, where we're arguing for our limits. Well, this is why I can't do that. You know, when I was 9 years old, my family went bankrupt, and therefore I have an issue with money, and therefore I can never, ever, ever be really prosperous because I just have all of that pain in me from back then. Anybody recognize maybe some stories you have about your limitations that you just would have to give up if you started to accept the idea that you could have it all, that you could receive greater and greater good? My stories don't matter. That wasn't a real one, by the way. I have some others I won't share. I know you're relieved. But what I'm wanting you to get to is this idea that we get so often we argue for our limitations. We can convince other people of why we can't do this or be that or have this or live in this way. Or we convince ourselves first, usually. I can't because. And whatever that because is just something made up. We are limitless beings. We are forever beings. So there's nothing to hold you back except our own beliefs about it. And then what happens when that happens? You know, when we get all blocking our receptivity, well, you already experienced that with breath. You know when you can't breathe and you stop yourself from breathing, eventually you kind of explode into the next breath, right? Yeah. You see, what happens for many people is our desires exceed our ability and willingness to receive, and then things get topsy-turvy. Have you ever been in a relationship where you were dating somebody and it was going along so great and you thought everything was just wonderful, and about after the fourth or fifth date, they didn't show up. They didn't call you back. They broke up with you by text, which is how they do it now. And you think, what happened? We were having such a great time. We have that here. We have people come in here 2 or 3 weeks sometimes and they go, wow, this was such a great experience. I can't wait to come back next week. And the next week they'll come back, and then the third week they're not here. Same thing. And it's the same process happening, is that our desire exceeds our ability to receive. You suddenly get scared in that relationship and think, this is too good to be true, so it must be. Or some other argument within our mind stop us from stepping into our next greatest good. My particular one of choice lately is YouTube. YouTube is such a great place to go when I don't want to face something. They got great stories. I can learn stuff. I know things now about travel in Cambodia that I never knew before. I've already been to Cambodia. I don't need to go back, but I'm learning new stuff about it because I can avoid dealing with how do I get to the grocery store and buy my groceries. We resist our good in lots of ways because we can always find something more interesting, we think. Even if in the long run it doesn't serve us, it doesn't help us. So what happens is the pressure builds up, and then you take that breath where you got to let the good flow one way or another. And you know that shows up in physical challenges, that shows up in relationship problems, it shows up in our money suddenly getting all scrambled up and held up, and you wonder why in the world. You treat for prosperity, you get a bunch of credit cards in the mail. That ain't prosperity, folks. That's just the opportunity to go more in debt. You know, if we are resisting the flow, that resistance is going to show up somewhere. Because the universe is giving. I had this wonderful purple water bottle. I love that water bottle. Got it brand new, couldn't wait. Got on a flight with it. It's so wonderful. Drank a bunch of water out of it before we took off on the plane. Pressure built up. And it has one of those that had the straw down at the bottom and all the water, empty air space on top. And so the first thing I did once I got in the air was flip that top up, and water went everywhere. All over me, all over the passengers around me. There were some very unhappy people at that point with me. I mean, the rest of the bottle emptied. Probably 2 cups of water all over everybody. Why did that happen? Because the good that was coming was the pressure from that airplane being pressurized and pushing on that air and pushing it down, and it pushed the water out the top. When we resist our good, it will come back on us at some point, in some way, because it is our nature to receive. It is our nature to participate in this way, to allow life to give to us in all kinds of ways, in all kinds of places. So I want to offer you some ideas. Some ideas for how to open up your receptivity. You know, it is the nature of life to give of itself to life. That's God's nature, that's Spirit's nature, that's life's nature. So it's our part in that to receive. And then through us to express it outward. One of the ways is to get out of the notion of making things happen. You know, one of the things that happens in this teaching is we teach each other how do we create an idea. We want that idea to come into manifestation, so we do treatment, and we get this notion that we have to make it happen if we're not careful. That somehow my mind, my treatment is forcing this to happen. That's why we never say, I healed myself, because you didn't. The power of life that is within you healed you. If there was healing that happened, things moved through you, but you didn't make it happen yourself. You allowed it. So get out of the idea of making and move into the idea of allowing. I have little cards all over my house that say, allow, 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 allow. Because I can really get into this, ego, macho thing of I got to make it happen. I even say no to people offering things to me because I got to do it myself. Anybody ever do that? I see some guys laughing. You know what I'm talking about. I can't let this be done for me. It's my job. What do you mean I didn't show up at 9:30 this morning to have the little numbers to be out here in the parking lot and teach you how to park and get your codes done so you wouldn't have to pay? Because there was a whole bunch of people doing that. Not my job. But I had to wrestle with myself a bit this morning to let myself get here at my regular time and turn that over to the people who do it so well. Because there's this built-in thing about we have to do it ourselves, because if we're not doing it ourselves, then we are dependable and vulnerable and maybe part of a community. It's a good thing. Allow. The other thing that helps us a lot in opening to be more receptive is to look at the what, not the how. We begin to say, this is what I want. I want prosperity. I want freedom. I want life to show up in wonderful relationships. And get out of it has to come in a certain way with a certain place and through a certain avenue. Because we can really get caught in that if we're not careful. We call it technically outlining in the teaching. But the idea of it here is that you open to looking at how it's showing up. You know the old story. Many of you have heard it, I know. The guy, this person stranded on the rooftop during the flood, and they're praying, oh God, please save me. And along comes a boat. No, you go ahead. I'm not getting in this. God's going to save me. Along comes another boat. Nope, not going to get in. Water's still rising. They're like about ready to drown. And then a helicopter comes just as the water is right up to the roof, and the person says, no, God's going to save me. And they drown. They get to heaven, and St. Peter says, what in the world? What are you doing here? And she said, well, I kept expecting God to save me. She, he, whoever it is. And of course, St. Peter says, well, God sent you 2 boats and a helicopter. What did you want? If we're looking for our good to come in a specific way, we often close out the possibilities that are right in front of us that we don't even recognize. So get open about the what you want to receive, and stay out of the how you want to receive. Well, I want to be loved by old so-and-so, and nobody else will do. Well, so-and-so don't love you. One of the things that Raymond Charles Barker used to say when people would come to him about problems in relationships, and he was doing treatment with someone, and they reached a point where the person came in the 4th or 5th time, and nothing was getting better. And then came in and found out they'd left them. Just completely, the relationship's over, abandoned, and the person is wailing and moaning. Well, you were treating for someone to love you. He didn't love you. Be open to someone who will and can. We get locked in. So a way towards greater receptivity is to be more open to those ideas, to those things that come. Let go of the attempt to control it all. Control is a delusion. You saw that illustrated this morning. We were trying very hard to control these electronics, and we did better, but not always perfect. The idea that you have control is an attempt to lock something down in a universe that is constantly flowing and moving. You can't do it, not in the long run. So you got to let that go in order to receive more. The other thing I think we hold on to in this culture is the idea of sacrifice. I have to sacrifice. If I want to have something good, I got to pay for it. No pain, no gain. Well, now in the exercise world, they know better than that. Too much pain, no gain. A good balance. If you're walking too fast and you can't talk to the person you're walking with, you're walking too fast. You're not giving your body any help at all. So we've learned that's not even true physically. We need to let that go. Here's the solution, however, an idea. I had a bunch of quotes, but we're running out of time, so I'm not going to do those. Just know that Ernest Holmes agrees with me on all of this that I'm saying. Okay? You'll find it in the textbook. I do want to share this one. This is from Ernest, about 1931. Now, that was a long time ago. It gives you an idea of how some of these ideas have been around and have been implanted and are now going and growing in our groups. That is that humanity is an inlet to the great mind that is all. Not through choice. You don't get to choose whether the infinite mind is working through you. And it's not through desire, but by necessity. Man, woman, is an immortal being, not because he earned immortality, paying for a heavenly place through a lifetime of self-denial. He is immortal because you are made of immortal stuff. All humans are immortal, not because they choose to be or because they believe in a particular doctrine, not because they are Christians, Jews, pagans, or any other group, but because you are by your nature divine. Humanity is divinity wearing a mask. That which is gained self-conscious, try that again. That which has gained self-consciousness must progressively be more and more conscious of itself. We're on the pathway of endless expansion. We're unfolding into the infinite. That's who we are and what we're about. And receiving is a major part of that. It is also why it is conscious receiving that matters the most. And conscious receiving and gratitude for it that keeps that flow going and opens us up to greater and greater expression and good. So here's your assignment. I never give assignments, but I am today. Since we all have some time off while we're sitting I gained 5 pounds listening to that poem. That was wonderful. But when you're sitting there after turkey dinner and you're all bloated or whatever dinner you have some time on your hands. Do this assignment. Try it every day for 5 minutes or 2 minutes. Take some time, breathe, be quiet, listen to your mind, and declare, I am a center of divine attraction, and I am open to receive my highest and greatest good. I am a center of divine attraction. Not just individual attraction. You're an expression of the divine. So you're a center of, think about it. It's like the old man in the sky with the gray beard is actually sitting right here in your, I do have one, sitting right here in your world, in your life, in your body, and saying, give it to me. I want to attract all of the good and create all that I can out of it. That's who you are. Create that. Live it. I am a center of divine attraction, and I accept and receive openly all the good that is mine. You know? It's because it's who you are. It's because what you deserve. Because you absolutely are wonderful. Anybody ask you otherwise, talk to me. I'll tell them. I'll tell you. That's what, yeah. Because you're wonderful and I'm wonderful, we let this be the truth, and so it is. Thank you. So here's what I know. I know that the universe is always giving me exactly what I require at any given moment for my greatest good. Everything in my life comes to me to support my life and to support my freedom. Knowing that, I'm open to it, I receive it, and I recognize it when it shows up. This is the truth. I'll let it be. So it is.